Ah, my my slipper almost fell off my foot. I almost slipped off. My slipper almost slipped off. Good morning and happy hump day, folks. You know, someone yesterday posted how, how it's already been a long week, how it's been a long week and it's only Tuesday. Oh, keep in mind someone did this yesterday, and yeah, I kind of feel it. On top of that, I only just realized now I forgot to put on a belt. Excuse me real fast. There we go. Okay. There we go. Wasn't gone that long. So, yeah. I guess my low is, I wouldn't say I feel overwhelmed, but I definitely feel like a sense of there really is a lot going on when it's clearly not the case. I mean, the days are definitely getting shorter, and I think like that's affecting everybody. It's getting colder out, which is also affecting everybody. On top of that, my mom actually flies out to Colorado tomorrow for her birthday. So, I mean, we already celebrated her birthday, so if anything, heaven forbid, hold on. And knock on wood. If anything, heaven forbid, happens to her, I mean, at this point, we got to celebrate her birthday, and I got to tell her that I love her, so that's good. But yeah, I guess my high would be that definitely feels like a long week, and I will admit I did kind of sleep in longer than I would have wanted to. So I am feeling like I'm in a bit of a hurry at the moment. It's not bad per se, but again, I gotta get better at getting up when I'm supposed to. Full disclosure, there was like several times throughout the day I'm like, forget this, I'm taking a nap. And a couple times I actually did. But it definitely made my high all the more worthwhile. Which, there's someone that I see every so often to help me sort of, I guess, for lack of a better word, recontextualize some bad memories that I have. Because I have a problem letting things go. And between what I said yesterday in regards to what I thought my blood results are going to be, and again, this seasonal change around us, like I needed that appointment yesterday. I needed that appointment more than I could ever hope to imagine. And honestly, with Thanksgiving next week, I don't really feel so, I mean, here's the thing. It did emotionally drain me, but I'm feeling, but like good, like, I guess I emotionally cleansed myself, like, if there's a better way to put it. Like, for as tired as I am right now, rest assured, no pun intended, I really do feel renewed. And again, with Thanksgiving next week, as well as pretty much everything going on after that, this was definitely needed. Granted, there's like two more things I want to go over in regards to the end of the year. And coincidentally, there's a series of videos I do in December that kind of overlap with, this person that I'm seeing in regards to that. So, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be an emotional wreck by Christmas, or I'm going to feel like this Christmas is going to be one of the best ever. Only time will tell. So, that was a very long-winded way of me saying that my high was, I had that appointment. And my act of kindness was, as soon as I got to see my folks, I saw my nephews. Oh, actually, that's another part of my high. I got to see my nephews yesterday. Got to help my mom watch my nephews. I took the garbage out for him. And it was pretty good. It was a really good day. And we had subs from Meniere's for dinner. That was pretty good. That was really good, actually. Subs from Meniere's are awesome. For the record, I do have the Cutler list. And the only reason why I don't put Meniere's on the Cutler list is because it's made solely for restaurants, and Meniere's isn't a restaurant. It's foremost a grocery store. That just happens to have a cafe. That's why I wouldn't put anything like Wegmans on the list, because, with Wegmans there's a number of reasons, including that. But my point is, I want to choose, don't get me wrong, Meniere's has one of the best places to get a sub ever. Especially if you can, that's the one problem with Meniere's subs, is they shut down their grill far too early. Because just about anybody can tell you that a hot sub will beat a cold sub any day of the week. Unless you're into cold subs or hot subs, I suppose. But they shut down their grill at 6:30, and then they stop sub production at 7 or 7:30 or something like that. Point is, they close way too early. And I get it, Big Flats is a smallish town. Not much is really going on. For reference, there's not really a lot of bars in Big Flats, except, say, for, tags, I guess. There really isn't much to do in terms of, going for a night out with the fellas, or the female equivalent would be a girls' night out. So, there's no, McDonald's. There's no, fast food chains. Honestly, your only source of getting, greasy food, should you happen to be drunk in the middle of the night, would be, a Dandy Mini Mart, which is a gas station. And even they shut down, or close for the night at, 11:30, 12 o'clock midnight. So unless you have gathered a whole bunch of, if you drink, you need, greasy food to go with it. Unless you stock ahead, you're never going to get anything, is the point I'm trying to make. But, I grew up in Big Flats. It's a small and quaint little town. There really isn't much to it. I mentioned Horseheads, Elmira, and Corning. I never talk about Big Flats, do I? Considering, that's my hometown. Well, that's originally where I grew up at. And yes, I was born in the city of Elmira, but, Elmira to Big Flats is only about a 15, 20-minute drive, so it's not like it's far. So I grew up in Big Flats. And I've never actually talked about my hometown that much. In terms of what there are some things to do. It's just, I don't really and not to mention, some of the things to do in Big Flats technically aren't at Big Flats addresses. It's weird. So I guess to the best of my ability, I suppose I could really talk about what to do in my hometown. Well, I just mentioned Meniere's. It's a shopping plaza. I mean, yes, Foremost is a grocery store that does have the cafe inside, but next to it, because again, it's like a plaza, uh, like a shopping plaza, I guess. Only at Meniere's, it's really like there's Quaint Credit Union, which is a bank. There's one of the picnic pizza locations. Shanghai Express, which is where you get Chinese food. I want to say a health insurance related place, as well as Modern Nails and Sheer Knowledge. The latter is actually where I get my haircut. So that plaza alone, there's sort of a lot to do. I mean, again, Big Flats has plenty of parks. I mean, there's a park just up the street from me where I grew up at. Like parks and playgrounds for kids to play at. It's a lot of fun. Like Fawn Acres, that's where that's the playground I mentioned. There's a few other parks as well. In fact, there's this organization called Towns Activities for Flats Youth, or TAFI, where like during the summer, a bunch of like counselors will take care of a bunch of kids at like these various playgrounds for an entire day. It's really cool. It's pretty cool. I mentioned that there really isn't a bar save for Tags, and Tags is pretty cool. In fact, Tags behind it actually has a venue for like big concerts, like rock concerts, like country music. Like it's basically like what you'd see at like a big stage, lights, whole lot of people can be there. Plenty of room for parking. It's a concert venue. I mean, foremost, I would say it's a bar because you're not going to have concerts all the time. But, I guess if you're looking for a place to have a good party, Tags wouldn't be bad to do it. Up the street from Tags is a whole bunch of soccer fields, for kids to play soccer. And a couple of baseball, softball fields. Actually, the baseball, softball fields are at Community Park, which is in the other direction of Pennsylvania, called the Community Park. It's mostly like all the youth baseball takes place, like baseball and... Actually, do they have softball at Community Park? I think they do. Or like maybe a Cinderella softball type thing. I also mentioned, they also came across that there's nothing to do there. There are some things to do in Big Flats, except it's the sort of place where, the event has to happen and it's yearly. For example, back in September, this used to take place, in the beginning of summer, but because of the pandemic, they moved it to, September, called, Community Days. It's basically a traveling carnival with as Gabriel Iglesias put it, it's a ghetto carnival. It is. That's not to say it's a bad thing. It's got rides. It's got games to win prizes at. It's got fried food that you'd find at one of these at some of these carnivals. And it's really cool. The only other place I haven't really... Oh, right, the Dairy Barn. The Dairy Barn's there for really good ice cream. Talked about the Dairy Barn before. There really isn't much else other than... Here's the thing. There's one part I definitely do want to bring up, and it's Harris Hill. The problem is, I mentioned earlier how, within the blink of an eye, Big Flats addresses become Elmira addresses. In fact, for all intents and purposes, my late Aunt Kathy, God rest her soul, she lived 5 minutes away from my family, give or take. And for all intents and purposes, if you were to see where she lived, you would have thought she lived in Big Flats, when technically she has an Elmira address. And by that logic, Harris Hill, which would come after where my aunt used to live, that would also be an Elmira area. But a bunch of Big Flats kids, grew up going to the top of Harris Hill, and full stop, Harris Hill is known for a fantastic view, obviously. But there's also, again, like a year-round fun park with like batting cages and go-karts. There's a playground for kids to play at. Rides for kids to ride on, and I hesitate to call them kiddie rides because they're the only rides that are available. Like, there's a carousel, those, not like bumper cars, but like cars that are on a track that like spin you around and around and around. There's a ride where like you pretend you're in some sort of ship and that spins you around and around and around. Actually, there's also mini golf. I almost forgot the mini golf. Not to mention, Harris Hill has a driving range. There's not like a golf course, but like a driving range. You stand there and hit balls and see how far they go. There's a pool with a high dive. I almost got the pool with a high dive. That's really cool. I almost going to throw. I used to love going to the pool for the high dive. And again, I guess I am cheating a little bit because Harris Hill, I think, is an Elmira location. Even though, if you saw it, you would genuinely think you're still in Big Flats. So, yeah, that's it's pretty much the long and short of what there is to do in Big Flats. Again, Big Flats is not like a big town or city like Elmira or Horseheads or Corning. But it's definitely a quaint little area filled with a lot of good people. And at the end of the day, that's really all a town needs. Just decent people making a living, raising a family, doing whatever you do to make yourself happy. And in a lot of ways, that's fun. And if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. I hope y'all like this video. If you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. On social media, as always, I'm very humble in this video. For all of you guys watching Joe for Hopefully have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And remember, if you guys want to talk to us, we're here to let you know you're back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.